Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Great White North. I didn't end up getting a video out last week, but I'm hoping that I can get another video out this week, this coming week. One of the things that I have been struggling with was how to keep things interesting and what to do for this week. And one of the things that I thought of was that since I have a bunch of vehicles, I would build something that I can store these vehicles in. So I was going to end up building a garage. Now, originally when I ended up deciding that I was going to end up doing this series, I was thinking on only using the materials that I ended up digging up in order to build, but I'm starting to think that that might end up being too boring. And I'm still learning some of the video editing techniques, so doing a time lapse might not be possible at this point in time. If I can figure out how it works, then I might add some time lapses and of digging and that to make it a little bit more interesting. But for now, what I was thinking of is maybe just having setting up a small garage nearby that I can start the factory that I'm gonna eventually end up moving that into, and fixing a bunch of things with the factory that I ended up setting up that I ended up learning afterwards. Like for instance, this setup that I've got here doesn't work because I've got these filters in here, this ore sorter, and then I've got the high temp sorter. Well, it has to be the opposite, because otherwise what happens is you end up getting pointing at the wrong thing. Oh, over here. That's it. No, I don't have anything. At any rate, aluminum, I think, is the issue. So aluminum needs to go here. And for some reason, this is filtering it out first. Remember what the buttons are for this. No, E. Alright. Yeah, see. So metal sorter, it filters out aluminum ore. But if I do a metal sorter into a a regular smelter, it doesn't smelt aluminum. So, which is weird that it's that way, but it's fine. So from what I can tell, I have to do a high temp sorter first and filter out the iron ore, aluminum, and silicon ore in order to send it to the high temp smelter, and then I can filter out the metal. Now, the downside of that is that I then, like, iron ore is going to end up being diverted to the high temp smelter, which is going to end up creating steel, which on its own isn't really a bad thing, but if there's anything that I want to be able to use iron for, which I don't know if I need it for anything, I'm not going to have it. So it's relatively minor, but in the end, I'm gonna have to compromise and do it that way. So, I can use a lot more steel, and steel is probably worth more than the iron is, so in the long run, it's probably a good thing. But at the same time, I just thought it was a really weird thing that this is sorting out metals, because I thought that this would be like this and this, since they're separate, that they would end up uh, doing like uh, like sorting between the high temp smelter and the regular smelter, but apparently that's not the case. It's weird, but sure, whatever. But that'll be for later. For right now, this is just a temporary setup so that I can get more money for anything that I'm digging right now. And especially to be able to get these new vehicles. But I've wasted a lot of time now talking about that. So I'm just gonna get to it. So my original plan was to dig up all the materials that I needed, but apparently that's not gonna, I don't think that that's gonna be interesting, so I'm just gonna end up buying what I need to be able to build a uh, a factory. And I'm gonna start with a garage. So to start with garage, I'm gonna need some doors. And since I have 4 vehicles, I'm gonna need 4 of those. I'll buy a couple of those. Rough concrete is slightly cheaper. So I think what I'll do is I'll build that, because I mean it's kind of gonna be an industrial place. It's not gonna be a fancy place, so let's go with that. I don't know how many I'm gonna need, but so let's just start with apparently only 3, because that's all the money that I have. So let's start with and since it's been over a week, actually it's probably been 2 weeks since I've played. This is gonna be a bit difficult. I'm gonna have to relearn the controls. But I guess I'm gonna end up having to get some money anyways, so maybe this week is the week that I learn how to do a time lapse on this. So I guess to start with, if I figure out how to do a time lapse, then I'll start a time lapse, and then I'll be back after I finish digging. And if I don't figure it out, hopefully this isn't too boring for anybody. I'm gonna have to try and get through all of this dirt to get into the good materials. I wish I had a bigger vehicle on this, but that is well down the road, because I'm gonna need to get somewhere a lot more money for that. And I wasn't wrong. Oh, let's try this. Does that work? good enough. Alright. It'd be nice if I could get a an actual dump truck in this, and then not have to carry this over all the way over there. But I mean, it's only a short distance for now, so because it's not that bad. Try this here. They're not making people seasick with the camera movement. Hopefully I don't make myself sick with the camera movement. One thing I will say with this game, the initial parts, if you're playing on your own, ends up being a little bit boring for the initial part because you end up having to power through so much and process so much dirt and stuff to initially be able to afford anything. Well, considering we're this is the 4th episode. I mean, by the 3rd episode that I had is I ended up having 4 vehicles. I guess it's not that bad. Well, I'm pretty sure that's pay dirt there, so I think that's gonna end up being a little bit better. The money. But we'll see. The dozer really helped from last week because I was able to actually flatten that all out and ended up getting all the bumps and grooves and everything out of the way, so that's kind of nice. And if I end up making more of a mess again, then I can since I still have the vehicles, I can still that's I didn't want to do that. Oh, just caught that lip and it was not wanting to dig out those boxes. Sorry, just taking a drink here. Alright. Yeah, so this week's been interesting. Had a few minor glitches with my PC. Did some upgrades and had some weird things happening with it. Ended up boosting the RAM on it, which is nice, considering there's a RAM shortage out there and the RAM is getting super expensive. It's kind of nice that I was able to get that, because it was either that or I was gonna end up seeing if I could afford to build another PC as an upgrade, but I mean, I'm running a Gen 11 CPU, so I mean, it's not that bad. Fast Faster RAM would be nice, and being able to utilize the full speed of the PCI Express lane that my video cards needs would be nice, but I was just finding that 16 gigabytes of RAM was just not cutting it for a lot of stuff. Especially I was playing Space Engineers 2. I mean, obviously it's still in it's still in alpha, so it's understandable that it's not going to be working 100% anyways, and has tons of memory leaks, but I was just finding that first getting into the game, I was almost maxed out on RAM, and then I play maybe, say, probably about good 15 minutes of the game, doing some digging or some mining and stuff like that, and then it's just, it would start hiccuping because I ran out of RAM. Like, it ran out of RAM. Like, it was maxing out really bad. As soon as I restarted the game, it ended up being fine, which, you know, it tells me it's memory leaks with the game, but it was kind of annoying, so I figured probably a good idea to upgrade RAM. It was a relatively small price, considering if I had to build a whole new system altogether, I mean, I wouldn't need to do a video card because I just invested in a new one, so there's that, but still, you get CPU, motherboard, and RAM all together. That's ends up being pretty pricey, and especially since I would end up having a newer one versus what I've got. It was going to be a lot of money to fork over, so I just stuck with this, and it ended up being, I got a decent deal on the RAM, so it was probably about half the price of what I would have ended up paying for a lower end new CPU, so it seems to be working out. So for now, it's working pretty good. I may need to at some point in time pop everything out and either upgrade the cooler on my CPU, or at the very least pop it off, clean it, and put it back on. I'm finding that it's getting a little bit warm at times. But I mean, that might also be the games that I'm running, or might be a little more CPU intensive, so I don't know. This game seems to be running really well. I haven't had any major issues with it. I mean, even the new GPU is working pretty good. I mean, I'm also not really taxing it very much. So there is that. I don't have like I don't even know if I'm using ultra graphics or anything. I think I just have it at medium. I don't remember. I mean, developers of this game have done a really good job, because I mean, even with the rusting mechanics and the breakdown stuff, with all of the little things that make it interesting, it's not, they've optimized it to a point that it's all, whenever they end up releasing it, it's most of the time it runs really well. So I mean, there might have been some people that had different experience, but I've never really had any major issues with like things messing up or anything as soon as they end up doing a release. So it's usually, especially with, well, I mean, the big game designers tend to rush things out because they're trying to get as much money as they can out of it. And I mean, I understand that. From a user experience, you rush and make mistakes, and then your users end up, well, all the people that are playing your games end up taking the brunt of your decisions. Then it doesn't matter that you ended up releasing in a timely manner if you're if all of the people that end up playing your game end up not liking it. Let's sell this stuff at least. No, that was a little bit. Just from the dirt alone was a fair amount. Let's unload the gold here. I'm gonna leave that stuff because I'm gonna have to set up some manual wash plants for those. I wish, that's one thing that I would really like to have, is something that will automatically process those into rubies and diamonds. Is that? Did I mess something up? It must not. Well, I guess, yeah, I've only been doing dirt and, well, maybe I will do that. Alright. Ooh, I discovered carbon. Cool. What does that get me? Well, let's sell this stuff first. I don't have any manual wash plants. Let's start with 2 for now. And in fact, if that's where they're coming out, I want grid builds. There we go. Oops. There. Let's get a few more of these. This is still going to be temporary, but I just feel weird just having workstations just floating. So I'm gonna rough concrete. Oh, no. All right, so I don't know. Let's just get everything for now, and then we'll put this here. And fix that so they're not floating. And that should be good. At least for right now. I mean, then we can get some money for that stuff. Yeah, that's... I'd like to be able to... I know they're working on a lot of things, but one of the things that I would love to be able to see with this game is, as far as the factory is concerned, is some of this stuff, like more of this stuff being automated. I mean, a lot of this stuff is only just from the last major update that they did, because it used to be that like all of this, like most of this stuff was all manual. You had to manually sort things and manually put them into wash plants. You had to use the manual smelter for everything. I mean, still have the manual smelter, which is great for when you're first starting out and you don't have as much money, but especially if you're playing on your own, you don't have anybody helping you. Oh, that was a little too deep. And you don't have anybody that, like, if you're playing co-op, like, you get a couple of people or even a few people working on digging, and you can get a lot done and a lot of money built up. You know, when they first did when the co-op was first released, Splitsy ended up doing a series with his community, and I really enjoyed watching that, because then it showed, like, you get a few people going with digging, and you can get a lot of digging done. So he was able to, within like a few weeks, he ended up having he was like down to digging up bedrock and stuff like that. Big, massive open pit mines, and he ended up having all the biggest, most expensive trucks going. So, I mean, that was with 8 people as a limit. So I wouldn't mind doing a co-op series, but I mean, I don't have any friends that would end up wanting to play and getting into a community that I would end up feeling comfortable with uh, would be a bit difficult. I think what I might do is try and get at this. Because this is... I think that's coal. So if I can start digging up some coal, that might get me a little bit more money. But I'm not sure whether I should sell all of that or whether to well, so much for my ambitions for building a garage. And I'm gonna end up spending this entire episode digging. Unless I can do a time lapse. But I'm a bit constrained for time as well. Because I have to work this afternoon, so on this day that I'm recording, so I'm not sure if I'll have time. But there's always tomorrow, I guess. Alright. Oh. Well, that's gonna happen. I can't blind it up properly. Alright, what are we at now? And a fair amount of dirt. Yep, that was cool, so got that going. Oh, those are done. Alright, sell a bit more stuff. Even dirt ends up getting a fair amount of money as long as you get enough of it. Alright. Well, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start out with just building a foundation first. Seeing where I want to build it. I think with this, so this is going to be basically the mine that I'm going to be working on. So that's going to end up being dug down even further. So if I start in this little valley here and then just clear out everything around it, just in these parts here, there should be enough between the pay dirt and the ores that are there, especially the coal, because I can start doing some other things with the coal. That'll be nice. So I think if I build it down here, remember what button these are on. I think maybe... Now, do I want to dig it down into... Do I want to dig down, or do I want to have it raised up? I think down, maybe. Let's do that. And... Is it working for what I need it to? I think so. Alright. Alright, let's start with that. And so what I'm thinking is I'm gonna do an outline of it first. And then so this is gonna be the outer one, so like something like that. Oh, that's not lining up properly. Because if I do the outer edge on this, I can save some money by buying some of these, because these are smaller ones that just are like that. So that, and they're, I think they're less than half the price. What are we at? Yeah, so these are, I guess, a little bit more than half the price, but like, so a full block is 2,300, whereas the concrete floors, which, I mean, all I need is something to drive over, is 1,200. So for every one of these I can almost get 2 of them, so might as well stretch my budget as far as I can on this. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I knew that was gonna happen. Alright. I feel like I'm making this worse. Well, that would be the reason why, because I have it off to the side. Ugh. What a terrible idea. Alright. There we go. Good enough. Alright. Well, not really, but... There's some things that it just seems so much easier to use the pickaxe for. I mean, as in real life, it's very difficult to do delicate work with a big giant machine. Alright. Now, what I'm not sure is... I bought 4 of these doors, but I'm wondering whether I should just have one entrance and then have like parking bays inside, or whether to have multiple bays. Well, I'm not gonna have time to do everything anyways, so I'm gonna at least get a little bit of a framework going on this, and then go from there. And if I can make some money while digging this thing up, then all the better. But now would be a perfect time for a dump truck. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Now, the cool thing about having the concrete is, if I can start using that, is that you can't dig past the concrete. Which means that if you want a flat spot, the concrete will let you do that. Alright, let's do this here. Well, now that, as ambitious as I was to build this thing, I'm starting to think that this is going to be a really long project to build that. It might even take a few episodes to build it. Might be fun. But I'm starting to think that I might, instead of having this as a primary goal, it'll have like work towards it, and instead have this as my primary goal, because if I can get 180,000, then I can have all of these guys, the diggers, down there, and then I just have to I can have the diggers going, and then load up the rock truck, and then just have the rock truck coming back and forth, as opposed to having to run every single scoop back to there. Plus, it can't be interesting to watch me spend hours driving back and forth. I mean, it's probably that boring enough watching me dig everything, but to watch me drive for longer than I am digging, that might be a little too much. But we'll see. I think that's gonna be all the time that I have for this particular episode. However, hopefully I'll have enough time to record in advance for future episodes, and that way what I can do is give myself a little bit of a buffer so that it makes it easier. If something comes up that ends up making it so that I can't record a particular week, I'm not going to be stuck, or you guys aren't going to be stuck without entertainment. So I don't think this was a very interesting one, but let me know down in the comments if you like watching the digging, or if the digging's all boring and I should be doing something else. I mean, I I could dig for hours without even saying anything. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do a digging stream for the in-betweens. Who knows? But let me know in the comments if you like what you see. Hit a like. Subscribe if you want to see more content. Hopefully I'll get better as time progresses with these videos. And I will see you next time. See ya.